Alton Nehemiah Ellis OD, 1st September 1938 to 10th October 2008. He was a Jamaican singer-songwriter. One of the innovators of Rocksteady, he was given the informal title Godfather of Rocksteady. In 2006, he was inducted into the International Reggae and World Music Awards Hall of Fame. Born Alton Nehemiah Ellis in Trenchtown, Kingston, Jamaica, Ellis was raised within a musical family which included his older brothers Leslie, who performed as one of his backup singers and co-wrote some of his songs, and Irving, known as Niney, who was a popular singer and steel pan player on Jamaica's north coast. He learned to play the piano at a young age. He attended Ebeneezer and Boys Town schools, where he excelled in both music and sport. While at Boys Town, Ellis performed as a dancer, in a duo, in the first show that a school director called Mr. Bailey had organized for Vere Johns, who had been invited down to Talent Scout. He would later compete on Vere Johns' Opportunity Hour. After winning some competitions, he switched to singing, starting his career in 1959 as part of the duo Alton and Eddy with Eddy Parkins. Rhythm and Blues. Ellis and Parkins recorded for Coxsone Dodd at Studio One, initially in the R&B style, having a hit in 1960 with Muriel, from Dodd's first commercially oriented recording session at Federal Studios, a song Ellis had written while working as a laborer on a building site. This initial success was followed by the release of My Heaven, which, like Muriel, was a slow R&B ballad with the instrumental triplets and vocal harmonizing common to the ballads of that period. Further releases in the R&B style followed: Lullaby Angel, I Know It All, I'm Never Gonna Cry, and Yours. The duo also recorded R&B tracks for Vincent Chin's Randy's label, including Let Me Dream. The duo split after Parkins won a major talent contest and moved to the United States. Ellis remained in Kingston, working as a printer, and after losing his job, he restarted his music career, initially forming a new duo with John Holt. When Holt joined the Paragons, Ellis formed a new group, The Flames. Ellis continued to work for Dodd and also recorded for his arch-rival, Duke Reid, on his Treasure Isle label. At the start of his career, Ellis recorded with his younger sister Hortense. Early tracks with Hortense like Don't Gamble with Love, 1965, were still in the R&B style, ska, and rocksteady. By the mid-1960s, ska was moving on, and the beat was slowing down to rocksteady and becoming associated with the violent rude boy subculture in Jamaican dance halls. Many artists made records referring to the rude boys, including Ellis, although his records were consistently anti-Rudy, including Don't Trouble People, Dance Crasher, and Cry Tough. Releasing records under the name Alton Ellis and the Flames, the varying lineup of which included his brother Leslie Ellis, David Baby G. Gordon, and Winston Jarrett. The group had hits with Girl, I've Got a Date and Cry Tough. Girl, I've Got a Date, recorded with Gladstone Anderson on piano, Paul Douglas on drums, Hux Brown on rhythm guitar, Lynn Tate on guitar, and Jackie Jackson on bass, is considered one of the foundational songs of the rocksteady genre. The bass line of Girl, I've Got a Date was allegedly duplicated in other international hits, The Liquidator, Harry J. All-Stars, and I'll Take You There, the Staple Singers. The release of Rocksteady, 1967, backed by Tommy McCook and the Supersonics, the first song to refer to the name of the new genre, heralded the new direction Jamaican popular music was taking. Ellis continued to have hits for Treasure Isle, working with artists such as Lloyd Chalmers, Phyllis Dillon, and the Heptones. His Mr. Soul of Jamaica album, with Tommy McCook and the Supersonics, is regarded as one of the definitive rocksteady albums. Ellis toured the United Kingdom in 1967 with Ken Booth and Studio One's session band, The Soul Vendors, and on his return to Jamaica, he worked with Dodd, recording the tracks that would be released as his debut album, Alton Ellis Sings Rock and Soul. During the late 1960s and early 1970s, Ellis recorded for some of Jamaica's top producers, including Bunny Lee, Keith Hudson, and Herman Chin Loy. He also began to produce his own records, including My Time is the Right Time, 1968, and The Message. He had 2 hits with Lloyd Daly in Deliver Us, 1970, and Back to Africa, 1971, both released in the UK on the Gas record label, a subsidiary of Palmer Records. Ellis regularly returned to England, working with several London-based producers, and after spending a few years in Canada, from 1972, he based himself permanently in the UK. Ellis continued to record and perform regularly, recording in the early 1980s for emerging producers including Henry Junjo Laws, Sugar Minott, and King Jammy. He also opened up the All Tone record shop in South London and started a record label of the same name. Ellis continued to be active on the reggae scene until his health began to deteriorate. His latest works include performing all over Europe with a French backing band called ASPO about some pressure oldies at the beginning of the 21st century. Recorded in Bordeaux, France, Live with Aspo, Working on a Groovy Thing is the only live album Alton Ellis ever released, 2001. In 2004, Ellis was awarded the Order of Distinction by the Jamaican government in recognition of his achievements. In December 2007, he was admitted to hospital in London for treatment of cancer of the lymph glands, Hodgkin's disease, but he returned to live performance after receiving chemotherapy. Ellis died of cancer on the 10th of October 2008 at Hammersmith Hospital, London. His death prompted a statement from Jamaica's Minister of Information, Culture, Youth and Sports, Olivia Babsey-Grange, who said, "Even as we mourn the great Alton Ellis, we must give thanks for his monumental contribution to the development of Jamaica's popular music." A funeral service and celebration of his life was held on the 3rd of November, attended by family, fans, music industry personnel, and government ministers, with tribute performances from stars including Mr. Fix, It Winston Francis, Tinga Stewart, George Nooks, Tony Gregory, Ken Booth, Judy Mowat, and Carleen Davis. In 2012, it was announced that the main hall of the new Trenchtown multi-purpose building would be named the Alton Ellis Auditorium in his honor. He was the older brother of the late Hortense Ellis and the father of more than 20 children, including Noel Ellis and Christopher Ellis, who are both reggae singers. He was also the uncle of the Jamaican comedians Owen Blacker Ellis and Ian E.T. Ellis. Legacy: The Mad Mad Riddim, the track Mad Mad by Alton Ellis and the Sound Dimension Band was released in 1968 on the Coxsone label, has been reused or sampled by many hip-hop, dancehall, and reggae producers and artists. The recognizable 3-note descending horn line was reinterpreted by Henry Junjo Laws and eventually became known as the Diseases Reggae Riddim. Diseases is notably used in Yellow Man's hit song Zungu Zungu Guzungu Zeng, which in turn has been sampled and reinterpreted by a long list of popular hip-hop artists, including KRS-One, The Notorious B.I.G., Tupac Shakur, Sublime, and Black Star. This constant reinterpretation and referencing has made Ellis a major but little-known influence in the trajectory of dancehall, reggae, and hip-hop. Please subscribe for more legendary stories.